Hey guys, I'm very excited to announce that the 3rd English edition and 10th German edition of Virus Mania has been released. The most common question I get is, what is the book about? So today I'm going to give you some sneak peeks into the book and hopefully even convince you to add it to your bookshelf. As some of you will be aware, the first edition of Virus Mania was published back in 2007 by investigative journalist Torsten Engelbrecht and medical specialist of internal diseases Dr. Klaus Kuhnlein. Right from the start, they boldly challenged many of the medical establishment and mainstream media narratives regarding human health and viral diseases. Last year, in the wake of Corona Mania, myself and Nobel Prize nominee Dr. Stefano Scoglio, an expert in microbiology and naturopathy, were asked to join the team. I can tell you that without hesitation, we were honoured to become part of this important publication. Obviously, much of the groundwork had already been done by the original authors, but with some of the developments we've seen in recent years, including most obviously COVID-19, the opportunity was taken to expand the team and add pivotal updates to the book. Firstly, I'd like to make it clear that the book is suitable for a general audience. You don't have to have a background in medicine or science to appreciate the major themes of the book. However, for those of you that like to dig a bit deeper, we do go into extra detail in some chapters, and there are well over 1,000 references, many of which are available for free on the internet. So, without further ado, let me summarise the major themes and give you some brief overviews of the chapters. Have you ever noticed that if you follow mainstream media, the world is repeatedly afflicted with new, terrible viral diseases? Despite the fact that infectious diseases rapidly declined in the 20th century, we are now being told that viruses have become an existential threat to the world's population. People are terrified by reports of measles, swine flu, SARS, mad cow disease, AIDS and polio. But the vast majority of us are never affected, and infectious diseases in the developed world remain a blip on the radar compared to other causes of death like heart disease. Additionally, this virus mayhem ignores very basic scientific facts. The existence, the pathogenicity, and the deadly effects of these agents have often never been proven. And no, I'm not making this up. You'll see that not only are some of the scientific papers not what they seem, but major health institutions have not been able to answer the crucial questions of proof that the Virus Mania team have put to them. The central aim of Virus Mania is to steer the discussion back to real scientific debate and put medicine back on the path of an impartial analysis of the facts. It puts medical experiments, clinical trials, statistics, and government policies under the microscope, revealing that the people charged with protecting our health and safety have deviated from this path. Instead of focusing on sensationalized narratives about single viruses wreaking havoc on the population, we broaden the view and include all possible causes of illness such as pharmaceuticals, lifestyle drugs, pesticides, heavy metals, pollution, stress, and poor quality foods. The war on germs has had major collateral damage, for while pharmaceutical companies and top scientists rake in enormous sums of money by attacking germs, and the media boosts its audience ratings and circulations with sensationalized reporting, ultimately the price is paid by people like you. If you are suspicious that the advice on how to be healthy has gone badly astray, that being healthy is more than wearing a face mask and getting a couple of jabs a year, then this book is for you. It's time to arm yourself with real knowledge and empower yourself to a healthy life. Right, let me give you a brief overview of the chapters of Virus Mania. Chapter 1 is called Medicine Presents a Distorted Picture of Microbes. In this chapter, we explore how it has come to be that microbes have been branded as the scapegoats for so many illnesses. We discuss how, although constantly blaming microbes for disease is psychologically tempting, it really makes no sense given the way we are built to integrate with our environment. Humans are designed to live in symbiosis with the trillions of microbes that live in and on us, with many of them being essential for our very life. It's time to stop looking at them as though they are our enemies and appreciate the true harmony in life's orchestra. Chapter 2 is called The Microbe Hunters Seize Power. In this chapter, we delve into the history of germ theory, covering important contributors including Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch. we see that while they did make some pivotal discoveries, trying to blame single microbes as the cause of particular diseases has unfortunately led much of the science astray, and this continues to the present day. Time and time again, microbes have been blamed for diseases while ignoring vital aspects of the person and their environment. We look at how clustering creates false epidemics and investigate the history of polio and factors that seem to have been conveniently ignored. Chapter 3 is called AIDS, From Spare Tire to Multi-Billion-Dollar Business. I can't say too much about this chapter because some of the material is probably not permitted on most social media platforms, but it is a deep dive into the history of AIDS and HIV. We look into how the mainstream theory developed and how alternative theories were mostly shut down by the power players. It's juicy, and the epidemiological inconsistencies with regards to the establishment model will come as a big surprise to new readers. Chapter 4 is called Hepatitis C. Toxins such as alcohol, heroin, and medical drugs suffice as explanation. In this chapter, we examine the strange case of hepatitis C. The chapter starts with a quote by Michael Houghton, the alleged co-discoverer of the hepatitis C virus. At the 8th International HCV Congress in Paris in 2001, he stated, "Where is the hepatitis C virus? Has anyone seen it?" As you can imagine, things get pretty interesting from here. We even discuss the so-called case of Pamela Anderson, the poster girl of hepatitis C. Chapter 5 is called BSE, the epidemic that never was. In this chapter we discuss mad cow disease and the alleged infectious particles called prions. But was it ever established that prions are disease-causing entities? Why did the authorities produce doomsday models and start slaughtering cattle on an apocalyptic scale? And did anyone even get sick after all this time? Chapter 6 is called SARS, Hysteria on the Heels of AIDS and BSE. This chapter is even more fascinating now that we are in the wake of Season 2 of SARS, otherwise known as COVID-19. We discuss how SARS-1 caused a relatively minor stir compared to COVID-19.
Jerry, you're a minor celebrity. If you go on this thing, it could create a minor stir.
We look into the science, probing crucial areas such as, was the alleged pathogen fully isolated and proven to be the cause of all the cases? There are a lot of parallels with COVID-19, but unfortunately the key lessons from 2003 were not appreciated by most of the authorities. Chapter 7 is called H5N1, Avian Flu, and Not a Glimmer of Proof. This chapter is crucial to understand the role of the media and Big Pharma in creating the atmosphere of a pandemic, even when there is not much going on. We look into the issue of influenza being promoted as an existential threat to the population, when the real data just doesn't back it up. Why did governments spend hundreds of millions on drugs like Tamiflu when the evidence supporting its use is so poor? Perhaps the most fascinating section is on the Spanish flu. We look at the relationship between vaccines and disease and what was the result of the buried field trials that tried to establish how influenza was transmitted. Chapter 8 is called Cervical Cancer and Other Vaccines, Policy versus Evidence. As a female and as a doctor, putting together this chapter really shocked me. Again, this content may be a bit too sensitive for social media, but it contains very crucial information for women, mothers and doctors. It's well referenced and will give you something to really think about. Once again, it exposes the problem of what viral particles actually are and what is their relationship to disease. The chapter also features a devastating critique of the vaccine industry by special contributor Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Chapter 9 is called The Big Swine Flu Hoax. Many people realise that despite the hype in 2009, the so-called swine flu never eventuated. We certainly discuss this, but we also look into how the authorities changed the definition of a pandemic and how this has led to vaccines being rolled out more quickly without needing full clinical trials. You'll get insights into the problems of equating indirect tests to clinical diagnoses, a mistake that has become increasingly prevalent in the current climate. We follow the money and discuss the huge conflicts of interest that many of the key policymakers had. Chapter 10 is called Postscript to Chapter 3 about AIDS. Again, this adds further detail to our earlier Virus Mania editions on AIDS treatments, including the more recent introduction of widespread PrEP or pre-exposure prophylaxis for partners of HIV-positive people. But is there any science behind this, and who really benefits from widening the number of people on antiviral medication? To give a human face to the issues, we include some real case studies. Chapter 11 is called 10 Reasons Against Measles Vaccination. I guess I don't have to tell you what this chapter is about, but to make it clear, we're not telling you whether to get vaccinated or not. In this chapter, we bring to light many of the uncomfortable truths around the actual evidence concerning effectiveness and health outcomes following mass vaccinations. Chapter 12 is called Total Corona Mania. Okay, so this is the big one that many of you have been waiting for. For those of you that have been skeptical of the mainstream narrative surrounding COVID-19, you will not be disappointed, as we have dedicated a full 80 pages to this chapter. All of your favourite leading actors are featured, and none of them are being let off the hook. We cover all aspects of COVID-19, including masks, lockdowns, inappropriate quarantines, social distancing, PCR tests, vaccines, and celebrity deaths. We look at some of the most dramatic coverage from some of the major media outlets and how that swayed public opinion. We expose the truth of the situation and the complete lack of evidence behind so many of the decisions that affected the whole world. We put crucial questions to some of the key institutions and power players and show you the responses we received. Overall, I've been very proud to be part of this amazing book. Although it is disturbing to see just how far astray many of our scientists and policymakers have gone, overall there is a theme of optimism. Our hope is that our book will make you feel better about how well designed humans really are to fit naturally into this world. Rather than fearing invisible enemies like microbes, we should focus on keeping our bodies healthy and living life to the fullest. If you want to purchase Virus Mania, it is available through outlets such as the Book Depository, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. I'll link all those in the description for you. There will be an electronic version or ebook available in the next couple of weeks. Also, I'm excited to let you know that I am currently recording the audiobook for the Virus Mania team. So that's why my voice is so croaky. So if you can't get enough of New Zealand accents, this will knock your socks off. I'll let you know closer to the time when the audiobook is due to be released.